Have you ever had an intuitive message come forward and then felt that your whole body was maybe like overcome with fear, right? And it came up with every thought and every excuse to dismiss what you just felt, saw, or sensed. Sounds familiar? How do you know if it's a fear or if it is your ego or your intuition coming forward? Stay tuned. Hi, my name is Evette Rose, author and founder of Metaphysical Anatomy, and welcome to today's topic, and that is to understand your fears and your ego versus your intuition. Now, your intuition is when you have like a conscious part of your body that communicates to your subconscious part of it. Now, consciousness that exists inside and outside of your body is holding, giving, and receiving information that the emotional body and the master cell and genetic programming on a physical level is now reacting to, and then it acts on that, depending, of course, of your environment and how you show up in that environment and how it makes you feel. So based on that, intuition becomes now, it comes full circle, right? It's guiding you now through during these times, especially when your reaction becomes destructive to your health and your purpose, and importantly of all, your quality of life. Or it could also be when you're receiving messages that serves as a gentle guidance for you when you have a question for yourself on behalf of someone else as well. It's not just here for you. I know in most cases we all love to read and listen to intuitive messages coming forward, but this is also for those of you who are readers, who are very good at what you do in the personal development industry by listening and connecting to your clients and students as well. So let's look at it. Why do you doubt your intuition? Let's say that there was a time during your childhood, right, when you could feel, see, or sense energies that most adults probably couldn't. And because people couldn't relate to you, they shut your gift down. Now, it is in these moments when you express what you saw and felt and innocently shared your enthusiasm with what you sensed or saw, and that was met with a negative reaction. Your intuitive capacities and enthusiasm was met with fear, and fear that didn't even belong to you. You see, people tend to dismiss or even attack concepts and ideas they don't understand, and it is in our nature to fear something that we don't understand. Now, this is when the role of your body and your consciousness can start to have a slight misalignment. Right? So when you look at your fears and your ego versus your intuition, you will see that what's happening here is that your intuitive sense and your need for someone to validate it was met with someone else's fearful response. Now, even if someone just reacted negatively, they showed no sign of fear in this case, it could still actually have created a fear in you. So you see, the associations that are now deep down being formed in your subconscious mind and also emotional body. So also note that the power that now lies between the moment that you sense something and how you react to it is a game changer. So it is in this moment that can either help and encourage you now to open up your intuition or block your ability even more to clearly discern whether you just felt an old surfacing memory in your emotional body or if you did in fact actually just receive an intuitive message. Now, here's the thing. When you feel an intuitive message coming up and you feel a fear, three things here could be happening. Firstly, is it that the fear that you feel, for example, could be an activation of an old traumatic, stressful memory from your past that was activated by a thought that you had when you connected to your intuition that reminded you of an unpleasant time? Remember that when you think back to a negative memory, your emotional body biochemically reacts as if though it's actually happening. Right? As if though it's happening in that moment, which means that it can trigger old negative emotions and a fight or flight response in the body. Now, secondly, You could have also copied a fear of someone that they unintentionally projected onto you when you shared your intuitive thoughts and feelings with them. And their fears have now become your truth and now your attitude towards your intuition. Right? So let's be honest. Deep down, when you share your intuition, there is a vulnerable part of you that is now subconsciously looking for validation towards and for your intuitive message. I can totally relate to that. So, thirdly, you might also sense or see something intuitively, and you feel a deep sense of fear and strong feeling of condemnation. Now, the feeling of condemnation now, in most cases, actually stems from a memory in the past when someone made you feel wrong or stupid or embarrassed for sharing something that you intuitively sensed. Now, this feeling of condemnation now, for example, this could also relate actually to an ancestral memory that was activated in your genetic makeup. Now, in the past, intuitive abilities, they had very severe consequences. Very severe consequences. And now this fear could actually also have been activated in you. Now this biological fear that is being triggered is in hindsight trying to keep you safe from experiencing similar traumas that your ancestors, for example, have experienced in the past as punishment for being intuitive. Sensing or seeing something that was perhaps not perceived normal back then. So you see, what your emotional body is trying to do by bringing up the fear, it's trying to keep you safe. However, times have changed. Our environment has changed. And the good news is that fear is not needed anymore. So now you see that there's a clash between the body and the old memories clashing with the present moment and with where we have evolved to. So now being intuitive here, and what you can also now see from this example, right? So being intuitive would also trigger a fear of dying, right? It's a fear of being isolated, a fear of, in most cases actually, it's a fear of disconnection, and the list can go on. So, sometimes your ego could also be telling you that it's not okay to be or act differently to others, right? Which is actually funny, because we are here to have an individual experience, right? We're here to have unique experiences, and that includes having a unique perspective, a unique voice. And that also requires a unique intuition and inner voice, guys, right? So your intuition can actually make you feel that you're trying to be better than others. But if you really deeply listen to that voice, that message, you just might hear someone else's opinion of you that you subconsciously now is playing back. It's reflecting back at you. And it's causing you to feel a sense of low self-worth or when you are expressing yourself. Now, this could even stem back from times when you just tried to communicate yourself to someone and you were dismissed in a way that was hurtful, or it made you feel deep shame about your truth. Now, when you look at the ego in general, spiritually, we can kind of experience the ego as a part of who we are, meaning our biological makeup and our character. Because the ego also, remember, it helps you to be competitive. It helps you to feel that survival feeling of I need to be successful, which all in hindsight is also being driven by our baser instincts, by our instinctive responses of needing to survive. Right? So, and coming back to what I was talking about now with the biological makeup, now, this experience also contributes to you feeling separate to others. Right? So now, in my opinion, there is nothing wrong with having an ego. It is actually sometimes a necessary and important illusion, because without ego, in most cases, we would not achieve or aspire to our goals with a competitive environment, which is what we seem to be faced with on a consistent basis. And if we were meant to have an experience with no ego, then we would come into this world without it. You see, we come into a world set up based with the correct tools to live in the dimension and on the planet form that we are at, to be in alignment with the frequencies of our planet. And that means you have everything that you need. And now, because of storytelling, because of having to try and be something other than we're not, because of connections with different dimensions, or connections with different planets, and now trying to be in alignment with something that our environment does not support yet, you're going to cause pain for yourself. So we might as well just embrace this beautiful human experience that we're having right now, because you are meant to have an ego, but also meet the ego and learn how to coexist with it in a way that is constructive rather than destructive. So now in this lifetime, like I said, we have to just learn to coexist with all these challenges, and ultimately then find your own balance. And through that, you will find your inner peace and your sense of self within it. Because that is when you will really truly start to feel and to be free from these concepts that are now causing you to feel stuck. Because these concepts require you to think and feel and behave in a way that is not in alignment with your biological makeup, right? So remember, it is also that it's about achieving our goals in this lifetime and fulfilling our purpose that also define whether the ego is being used, like I said just a little bit earlier, in a constructive or a destructive way, right? Your ego is part of your biological makeup, but it doesn't have to control you. But when you become coherent with your higher self, you start to move beyond the ego and into a place of compassion, into a place of tolerance and understanding with clear discernment. And that is the essence of you. That just is. That is how you exist. And that is also the place of existence that I'm referring to here. Now, to be honest, I would never really suggest eliminating the ego, because like I said, it is a very important part of our healing journey and personal growth. It's like to attack the ego, it's like attacking yourself, right? It's part of you. It's part of your experience. And instead of suppressing or pretending that it's not there, I would suggest working towards a coherent and harmonious relationship between your identity as a spiritual being and your ego identity as being a human being having a human experience. Right? So humbleness and gratitude instantly will align you with the ego, with the physical body, and with the spiritual path as well. So when you can give yourself permission to just make a mistake, you will be able to fearlessly connect to your intuition and also disregard all fears that come with that. Now, because when you try to accept that part of you that that's all that there is, then you will always be as good as the next person. Now let's look at 3 steps that you can start to take to discern between a fear, ego, and your intuition. Right? So when your intuition starts to come forward and you receive a message, then there's a high chance that you might actually have a negative reaction, as I discussed earlier in this talk so far. Right? So you could have many other symptoms coming forward that I have not even mentioned. So step 1, when you feel you just received an intuitive message, how does it make you feel? If you feel good about it, then it's good. That's a good start. Listen to the message, as now you are also in alignment with your inner voice and messages coming forward. If you had a negative response, then assess where in your body do you feel the negative response. Find the starting point of this tension, right? Because now you have the place, and spontaneously let that place in your body have an emotion. What does it feel like? You can even do it now. You can pause the video and just feel into it. Feel where you have the emotion. Whose voice or face do you hear or see that you know? Pause the video and just have fun with me. Let's just explore it. Just randomly say, show me a message. Let me feel or see or sense something. Now there is a chance that you might see or sense someone that you don't know. And if that is the case, then you could actually be connecting to an ancestor. Right? So the negative reaction that you're feeling could actually belong to them. It can also belong to a family member. But here's the cool part. Now also see if you see someone from your life, then this person could actually have an involvement in the root cause behind this negative reaction in you. So if that's the case, pause the video and just feel into that. So now, welcome back. And if here you actually did send someone, perfect. Then you know that it is not necessarily an intuitive message. This is a subconscious memory from the emotional body being triggered, either from someone that you've met or from someone in your ancestry. If you didn't get anything, then I would listen a little bit closer, because that could just very well be your intuition. Step 2. So once you have your answer, what you can also do is, like, once you have something coming forward, in that moment, just acknowledge the difference between your identity and this person. If you felt someone else's fear, someone else's emotion, feeling almost like, you know, it's a warning to something, but what you actually felt was an old traumatic memory of someone else coming up that was triggered by environment. In that moment, acknowledge the difference between your identity and this person's fear. Right? So let's say for example, I felt this negative reaction towards my intuition, and then I felt an ancestral fear coming up of being punished by this religion or by a religion for being intuitive. Then I, for example, would say in this case that I acknowledge the difference between my identity and my ancestors feeling punished for their intuition. And then step 3. You could also be experiencing an old memory surfacing from the past, causing you to feel a sense of, like, almost like a warning, right? Almost like a threat when you are around someone or certain circumstances. Now, it says once again, where in your body do you feel the stress? And then I would like you to move your focus to that area and speak to it and ask it, are you from the past or from a current valid message? Be silent and be still. And observe how your body and your mind reacts, because I promise you, it will react. And when you get a message and you start to feel fear or doubt, ask the message, ask your emotional body. You're going to start to communicate with the body, because it is so excited to talk to you. It really wants to communicate with you. Ask the emotional body, is this my ego? Is this needing to be right? And you will 100% get a yes or no answer. And just also a last piece of advice, when you connect to your intuition, to know, to get the most accurate way, to just bypass the ego, bypass the fear, here's what you're going to do. When you want to connect to something and you ask a question, give yourself a countdown and have fun with it, because the more playful you are, the more relaxed you're going to be. The less you're going to, try to force yourself to feel, see, or say something that might not necessarily be there. So the more of a blank slate you are, the better. And the best way to do that is to ask the question. So, for example, I'm going to ask, say, that I eat something or sense something in my emotional body, in my diet, because I feel, for example, today I feel a little bit off because I'm traveling full time. I can't always control what goes into my food. So now I'm wondering, do I feel bad because of an emotion, or do I feel bad because of my diet? Did I eat something this morning that was not really good? So I'm just going to connect to my body in the stomach area, for example, and I'm going to connect to that. And I'm just going to pretend, okay. And I love to use the word pretend. I pretend that I know what the message is. And I give myself a countdown. 1, 2, 3. Okay? And I actually felt it's emotional. And when I got an image, immediately I saw a lot of people. And so I can actually quite understand that based on where I am right now, there's a lot of stress happening with the people. There's a lot of stress in the collective consciousness in the city where I am at right now. A lot of stress with the government. I'm feeling the conflict of these people as well, and I'm really feeling that in my stomach. So it's almost like I feel sick to my stomach from the emotional stress, but it's not mine. So now, in this case, what I would do is I will acknowledge the difference between my identity and the collective consciousness and the stress of this city. That already feels so much better. Right? So I just used the live, this just randomly made, I did actually not think of doing this. I don't normally use myself as an example, but I'm shameless. I don't care if I humiliate myself or if I'm rejected, it doesn't matter. So that is how I, for example, would do it. So do try that. because your body is always listening to you. But the important part is give yourself the countdown. 1, 2, 3, boom. What is it? Don't give yourself time to think too much, because your intuition is not part of the conscious mind. It's non-local. It doesn't need your brain's involvement. So count down quickly and see what you get. So guys, thank you so much for joining me. And it was an absolute pleasure to be here with you. So stay tuned to my YouTube channel. You can subscribe at evettevideos.com. Catch me on Instagram, Evette Rose 1. And I have a lot of other content there, videos like short clip videos that I don't always share on YouTube. So depending where I'm catching you right now, check me out everywhere. Alright guys, until next time, be the light that you are. Hi guys, thank you for joining me, and remember to grab your copy of Metaphysical Anatomy on Amazon, 679 medical ailments. And I also wrote about the psychosomatic root causes of that, and I'm spoiling you because I even added key points for you to start looking at important questions that you can ask yourself to start improving your quality of life. And also remember to catch me on Instagram, Evette Rose 1 with the digit 1, and Metaphysical Anatomy on our Facebook fan page. Bye guys.